Shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And how thrilled and delighted I am to be talking to this gentleman here. Let me ask you folks a question. Who has sung a song that you have written? Huh? Maybe your wife, maybe your kids, maybe the guy you paid $1,000 to make a demo for you? This man, Bruce Sudano, his songs have been sung by the likes of Michael Jackson, Reba McEntire, Dolly Parton, and also a woman you may have heard of, his late wife, Donna Summer. He's actually a co-writer of the song Bad Girls. Yes, Bruce Sudano is actually the guy who is on the cover of the Bad Girls album. He's the sleazy-looking cop leaning on the thing and the thing. Anyway, we'll ask him about all this. He's also a New Music Weekly Adult Contemporary Artist of the Year. So we welcome so much to Bruce Sudano. Shalom, Bruce!
Hey, Bubba!
Oh, you know the lingo. But wait a minute. So I'm guessing you're Italian.
Too.
Wait a minute. You're not a Yid, are you?
I'm not. I'm a Catholic boy who grew up in Flatbush. With lots of brothers.
All right, but let me ask you. That was going to be literally my first. I'm going to show you. Here's my first question. Look at this. Memories of growing up on Flatbush Avenue. I'm presuming in like the 50s, 60s. So yeah.
Yeah, I grew up on. My house was on Avenue I in East 28th Street in East Flatbush, about a block and a half away from Brooklyn College. One block off of Nostrand Avenue. One big block away from the junction of Flatbush and Nostrand.
Wait, I'm sorry, hold it. I'm sorry, just the mention of the junction there, that always gets me. The nostalgia factor of that particular junction.
Yeah.
So what are stories? Do you remember like soda shops? Do you remember of Flatbush?
Yeah, I remember. I forgot a lot, but I remember a few things. I remember the Four Kings restaurant at the junction. I remember the Collegiate, the college movie theater, and there was like a sporting goods store kind of called Collegiate next to the movie theater. My band's first manager was Mel from Mel's Record Rack on Nostrand Avenue. We used to rehearse in the basement of Mel's Record Rack back in, '66.
Now, let me ask you, since it was 1966 and you had a band, what kind of music was it? Were you trying to be a Beatlesy band? Were you more R&B? What was that band and what was their ethos?
Yeah, we were like a top 40 cover band. We would do the Rolling Stones, 19 Nervous Breakdown, and we do the Animals, We Got to Get Out of This Place, and we would do Woolly Bully, and we do Devil with the Blue Dress, and we do Heart of Stone by the Rolling Stones, and like that.
Yeah. Oh, so how long did that band stay together, and did you write your first original song, when you were part of that band?
Absolutely. That was kind of how I began to be able to be a songwriter. Was writing for the bands that I was in and writing with band members in the band, the band eventually evolved into becoming a band called Alive and Kickin, and we played the same circuit as the Vagrants and the Illusion and the Hassles and at some point, like in about 1968, we became the house band at a club in the city called Cheetah.
Okay, but that was years before it became known as one of the disco clubs. Cheetah at that point was just a dance club, or it was what?
It was still back in '68. Clubs still had bands. It was before disco was happening. Clubs, we were also the house band for a while at the Electric Circus. These venues were for live music.
Yeah.
and so at the Cheetah, we were the house band 6 nights a week. You know, 5 sets a night, 40 minutes on, 20 minutes off. At the same time, I was going to St. John's University out in Jamaica.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
For
and
what? For music or for a day job?
Yeah, I mean, I started out as a psychology major. I ended up being a minor in psychology and a major in theater. So,
Yes.
so yeah.
Wait. Oh, I gotta ask you. I did not realize this part. You majored in theater. What roles did you play when you were at St. John's? Do you remember any plays or
Uh,
musicals you were in?
yeah, I don't know. What comes to mind is the Rainmaker. I don't know why. I haven't answered that question maybe ever, but the Rainmaker comes to mind. And I don't know why, and I know there were a couple of, I don't think they were actually plays that we did, but there were many scene studies from like Streetcar Named Desire and that kind of element. I even actually studied with Stellar Adler for in the city for a while.
All right. Do you have any
Um,
memories? She is a legendary acting teacher. Did she teach you anything that blew your mind, or was there something amazing about her that made her so special?
well, I think the most amazing thing that I remember is she was very intimidating. And my vision of her is sitting in a chair with a high back, with a small dog in her lap, and telling me that I had to exude more confidence and I shouldn't be intimidated.
Ha! Ironically. But did that work?
Yeah,
Did you
right,
say
exactly.
you came up to her and said, okay, you're not going to intimidate me and neither is an audience. I'm going to be so it worked.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, I think she recognized my, most obvious area of weakness. And so she went right at that, and then ultimately what happened is as we were the house band in Alive and Kickin' at Cheetah, Tommy James lived around the corner, came in one night. Myself and Woody Wilson, our bass player, started hanging out with Tommy on breaks, ended up co-writing a Tommy James and the Shondells song called Ball of Fire, which got me signed to BMI, got me a $1,500 advance. It was the most money I had ever seen at one time in one place. And then subsequently, Tommy produced Alive and Kickin', and we had a hit record called Tighter and Tighter the following year.
So why aren't you alive and kicking now with that same band? How did you end up morphing away into being more of a songwriter? Oh,
Well, we had a big hit record. We went on tour with the Mothers of Invention with Chicago.
all right, whoa, stop,
We
stop,
did.
stop, stop. You were on tour with Zappa and the Mothers? Do you have any?
Yeah,
What was it? The Flow. This was been before the Flow and Eddie years. So who was it? Who was in the band?
yeah. It was before Flo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But it was before Flo and Eddie. It was when they was super avant-garde and super amazing. They were so next level that it's hard to describe. And for me at the time, like 19, 20 years old, I was just kind of like in wonderment, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we did American Bandstand, the Alive and Kickin' album cover we shot in the Pacific Ocean. It was the first time I had ever been on a plane. It was flying from
Pan Am
what
or
was what was JFK called back in those days?
Mr. President.
The
Alive. He was alive and
no,
kicking, not for
no,
long.
the airport. At the airport. What
Idlewild. Idlewild before it became JFK.
was Idlewild? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So first plane ride, blah blah blah. That was a lot. What happened with Alive and Kicking? Um, you know, a youthful stupidity, basically, is what happened. You know, at that time, the music was transitioning out of this thing of pop radio into more of an FM, heavier conceptual musicality vibe. And Alive and Kickin in an attempt to transition into that space after having a pop hit, um, we got lost in a shuffle. And although we recorded a few other singles that sort of charted, we could never really reach the height of that again. We produced an album that was very au contraire to the beauty and the magic of Tighter Tighter, where it was much more aggressive and with lots of different parts and 7-minute songs, and just just youthful energy and passion, but without any kind of boundaries for the real world, really.
All right. So you guys broke up, but then it's not as if you went into theater or psychology. You did
Yeah.
what? Where did you go from there?
Well, the band didn't break up, but I left the band.
Oh,
I subsequently moved to Los Angeles. Um, Two of my buddies who were also from Brooklyn, who were from a vocal group out of Brooklyn called The Movements. And they were sort of from the same neighborhood. We had met them because they were going on the Zachary TV show. And we
yes, I
and
know
then
who
we
Zachary is. Okay, yes,
yeah.
yes, okay.
So we had to they asked my band if we could back them up because they were just a singing group on the show. So we agreed to do that. We became friends. We played a lot of other gigs together for a period of time. Anyway, subsequently, the three of us end up in Los Angeles in 1976. Another friend from the neighborhood was a girl named Susan Mineo, who was the vice president of publicity at Casablanca Records. And she said to us, you three mooks are out here, we're all trying to do it on your own. Why don't you put something together? You probably have a better opportunity. We got Jimmy Ina comes out to California. He shows up at my one-room apartment on Laurel Avenue, just off Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, I love that junction too. Oh, you're just mentioning the best junctions today. Oh, and yes, so he comes out. Did you say Jimmy Iovine? That guy?
Jimmy
No.
Einer.
Oh, it was Einer. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jimmy Einer was at that point a very big producer. Grand Funk Railroad, Eric Carmen, the Raspberries. These were all Jimmy's productions, and he was starting his own label. Came out because what happened was before I left for California, I had written a bunch of songs. Get out to California. Susan says put something together. So Joe Bean Esposito, Eddie Hokinson, and myself start rehearsing these songs. We start writing some other songs. Arista Records is interested. Jimmy flies out from New York, says, "Hey, I'm starting up my own label. We're going to be distributed by, I forgot who he was being distributed by at that point. But, major distribution. I want you to be the first act on my label, blah, blah, blah." Okay, we decide to go with Jimmy. And
Well, did you
that's how
feel?
Brooklyn Dreams
No,
happened.
wait a minute. You had a friend with Casablanca. Did you feel guilty for because she was the one who was kind of pushing you along there at first, and then said, "Nah, we're going with this other guy." No hard feelings.
No, she was a big she was a big fan of Jimmy. In fact, she probably called him up and said, "You should check these guys out." At the time, we didn't appear to be a fit for Casablanca. So subsequently, what happened? We gave up. I gave up my apartment on Laurel Avenue. We all gave up our apartments. We were supposedly moving back to New York for 3 months to record the first Brooklyn Dreams album. At the last minute, they say, "No, you're not coming. You're recording out in Irvine, California."
Was this before or after you signed away your apartment lease?
After
Aye.
After. So this is I'm leading up to how Brooklyn's Dreams met Donna Summer.
Yeah.
So we now have a record deal. We're going to record our first album in Irvine, California. They're getting us apartments in Irvine by the studio. We're going to
Okay.
be out there for 3 months, but for the next 4 days we have nowhere to sleep. So we call Susan. We have nowhere to sleep for the next 4 nights. Can we come and sleep on your floor before we go to her? Sure. Sunday afternoon, we're all up sitting around the kitchen table. I got a guitar. We're just singing, sitting around the table. Donna Summer, who had just returned from living 8 years in Germany, was getting a driving lesson. She just had a big hit in America called "Love to Love You, Baby." So now they've moved her to LA. She's getting a driving lesson. On her driving lesson, she decides to stop and see the head of her publicity, uh,
In the middle
who
of a
was Susan.
driving lesson, was she telling?
Yeah, she was
Wait
just
here.
she was just driving around Beverly Hills, and they were like, "Well, I think Susan lives over here. Let's go say hi." So anyway, she comes up. We all meet. We start writing songs immediately, and you know, became great friends. And yeah, that
Well,
that's
that's how you met her.
that's as
So
far
you
as
were
that went.
friends first for a while. Eventually, you obviously became more than friends. She became your wife. How did that morph? I mean, did that take a long time, or were there sparks pretty quick?
Uh, there were sparks pretty quick, but we were both involved in other relationships,
Okay.
and so there was a period of yeah, I don't know wait, I had a good word and I lost it. I won't say drama, but melodrama. There was a period of melodrama,
Okay.
and so we could finally figure out,
How
you
that?
know, before,
Yeah.
how to navigate all that, and having two careers. I mean, there were a lot of complications. Interracial marriage. On every level, record companies saying, this is not a good idea.
Well, what could the record company have against it? What could the company possibly have
Well,
against her home life, your home life?
well, it's a matter of, from on my side, my record company is saying to me, Bruce, you're ruining your career. You're ruining your career because you're stepping into a shadow that is going to be too difficult to navigate.
You would be Mr. Donna
Her
Summer.
record
Yeah.
company is
Yeah.
concerned about keeping her under control,
Mhm.
uh, and working and focused in a way that they want her to be focused. So anyway, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just part of the scene, and we were young and trying to figure out our own emotions and all that. But the fact of the matter is we got to a place where we both were like, we don't want to live our lives without each other. That I think that was the realization that ultimately we both came to, regardless of all the other noise that was around. And we were volatile. We were both young, headstrong, on fire with our opinions, and people would look at us and go like, "Oh man, Bruce and Donna, you
Mm.
be careful."
And then also,
Uh,
and maybe you have a cold or something, but you constantly are like
yeah,
snartzing and doing the. Did you? I mean, did you blow out your sinuses in the 1970s with part of the club scene? Were you both doing a lot of
no,
drugs? Did that, or you avoided that stuff?
no,
Oh, good for
yeah,
you
no, we
guys.
would never. No, no, yeah, never. I mean, smoke pot. Yeah, me, not even Donna. Donna was not a drug person, at all. Yeah, I don't. I just have. I think it's evening and fall happening in Milan outside my window.
Got it. Oh yeah. By the
Uh,
way, this man is in Italy right now. He's in Milan. Is that like your summer play, or you live there all year long, or what's your current situation living wise?
my current situation living wise is half the year in Milan, half the year in LA. uh, broken up incrementally in different variations.
Oh, well, we should mention, but that reminds me that in December you will be touring. You're going to have gigs in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Um,
Yeah, I'm doing a few dates, opening for a band that's called Fantastic Cat, who are quite uh, an entertaining, musical, talented bunch.
oh, good. And you're opening for them for a couple of gigs. And there
Yeah,
are three on your website. Maybe you're going to add more, but they're in December. So people
yeah.
should take a look at brucesudano.com, SUDANO, brucesudano.com. But let's get back to you and Donna and the marriage and, of course, having now big hits with her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We start, songwriting was always, the foundation. That's how we really got to know each other and to spend time with each other. And it was through songwriting. And, and Joe Bean, Eddie Hoganson, and myself and Donna, we, um, that she came out and sang backgrounds on the first Brooklyn Dream album. We reciprocally sang background on her "I Remember Yesterday" record. Um, at that time, Brooklyn Dreams also got involved in a movie called American Hot Wax.
oh, yeah.
We formed a group with our friend Kenny Vance for the movie called The Planetones, and we did a couple of songs, "Rock and Roll's Here to Stay," and it was a great time. 3 months on the set. Um, Jay Leno, Lorraine Newman, Chuck Berry. It was just Brenda Russell. Great friend till this day. It's so it was a magical time, and at the same time we were on a big tour with Donna all around the states. It was called the Summer Night Dream Tour, and Brooklyn Dreams opened this show for Donna, and then we would appear again later, involved in her show, and that tour went on for quite a long time. And in between that, we were writing. Brooklyn Dreams wrote title track for a movie called Hollywood Nights, which, interestingly enough, it was the end title track for the movie. The movie starred, I don't know if anybody, for those of you who know Robert Wall, it's kind of become like one of those cult kind of things. But the song itself has been sampled by Snoop Dogg, numerous people have
Yapa
sampled
Yarkoni.
that track, and
Yeah.
the sampled version of the song has, done more than what the song ever did. So it's kind of interesting. We wrote movies for Police Story, so there was a lot
Right, sure.
going on in those years. Brooklyn Dreams ultimately recorded 4 albums. Our contract got bought out by Casablanca for our next record. We've recorded 3 more albums for Casablanca. 1980, Donna and I got married. Brooklyn Dreams split up at that point. Eddie moved back to Brooklyn. Uh, and I got signed by Millennium RCA to do a solo album. I did a solo album called Fugitive Kind. Um,
And
and
I do want to break in here because
Yeah,
Bruce Sudano is still recording solo albums. As a matter of fact, this image behind me is the cover of one of your albums. And if people
yeah,
want to get these albums or learn more about them, they can still go to brucesudano.com because your most recent, which is about a year or two old, is called Talkin' Ugly Truth, Telling Pretty Lies, which is
yes, yeah,
the one that you're kind of pushing at the moment and stuff like that.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
have you ever written a song or two or three about your years with Donna Summer? Because you were together until she passed, and then when
yeah.
she got sick and you were with her. So, did you ever
Yeah.
write about that cryptically or not so much in a song?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was when she got sick is when, because just to tie up the story
Sure,
of
sure.
of my first solo album, after I recorded that album, a couple of the singles charted, but what I realized at that point was that I couldn't navigate trying to be a solo artist, have Donna having her career. She was now pregnant with our first child. Uh, and it was so at that point, I said, okay, I'm not going to be a solo artist anymore. I'm going to be exclusively a songwriter because otherwise my whole life can't be managed.
Yeah.
so, so, so through the over the years, I wrote for Dolly Parton and the Jacksons and Michael Jackson and Robert Palmer and many people in different movies, and I had an okay career as a songwriter. But it was when Donna got sick that I reinvented this phase of my life where I am now a solo singer-songwriter who goes out, sings his songs, and does shows and makes records. And it was inspired, initially by the period when Donna was sick, and I wrote the first album of this phase of my life, which is called With Angels on a Carousel. And it starts from the season of her being sick right up through her passing, and it's there's songs about navigating through, painful times and finding hope in the middle of the storm and finding resilience to go forward and carry on and all of those things. And so coming out of that, I put a new band together and I was now living a new life. I was a guy in my 60s who was now once again a single man in the world. My
Oh,
kids were grown and out on their own. And so I'm like, well, who am I now? I'm not the guy I was when I got married, that guy, and I'm not the guy I was when I was married, and I was, being dad, and I'm a single man in the world again. Who is that guy?
by the
So
way, are you still a single man in the world, or have you cohabitated? Where are you at right now?
well, so I wrote an album full of single man in the world again about who that guy was. Ultimately, I fall in love again.
Mazel
Okay.
tov.
Okay. So I fall in love again. I have material to write about falling in love again because here you are in your 60s and you're like 13. How does that work? Um
I mean, that's how
so
life
yes.
works. Yeah, really,
Yeah.
that is how life works. And I would mazel tov on that. But I've got to, while we have a couple of minutes left,
Yeah.
I got to get some stories out of you. Did you get to meet Michael Jackson, or did you just write a song that he ended up doing?
No, I met Michael Jackson a few times. Um and he was always gracious and funny and
Did he talk like this, or did he talk like this? What was?
eh, no, he spoke like Michael Jackson.
Oh, he did. Okay, all right, all right. We were so we don't know if it. And what about? Do you have a Dolly Parton story? Since you wrote for
Uh,
her.
well, the best Dolly Parton's, the best part of the Dolly Parton story is how she got the song, because songwriters are always, curious as to how you get songs covered. And it's a very difficult navigation, let me put it that way. So, and for me, it's really always been about serendipity. So in this case, um, my parents are getting divorced. I'm 30 years old, 31 years old. My parents are getting divorced. It's bothering me. I'm an adult, but it's bothering me. So I'm in the back of the house. I'm writing this song called "Starting Over Again" about the divorce of my parents. Donna comes to the door. She opens the door, sticks her head in the door, says, put a line in this song about all the king's horses and all the king's men. I'm like, okay, figure out a way to put the line in the song. I write the song. A couple of weeks later, Donna's going on the Johnny Carson show. She says, you know what? I'm going to sing your song starting over again on Johnny Carson tomorrow night. I'm like, that's really nice, but babe, you can't do that. You're going on to promote your new single. You got to do your new single. That's why you're going on the show. Yeah, but maybe they'll let me do two, and I'm going to sing the song. I'm like, but why would you do that? You didn't even record the song. It's so, well, if I sing the song, maybe your parents will stay together. Yeah. So just a little insight into the graciousness and the magnitude of who Donna was. So anyway, she goes on the show, true to form, sings the song starting over again. It's on YouTube. You can go find it. Does an amazing version of the song. She never records the song, but the next day, Dolly Parton's people call the house. What song is this? Can we have this song? Whose song is it? But Dolly records it, becomes a #1 country song. So,
wow. Wow. I mean, that is a one. I'm so glad I asked that question. So, my last question, because we do have to wrap up, unfortunately, with the delightful Bruce Sudano, is do you have another enlightening Donna Summer story, something that we wouldn't expect about her, or a happy, funny memory of her, anything?
well, I mean, I have, very many memories of Donna, but, she was an exemplary person, of the highest character, of the highest intellect, of the greatest intuition, along with all her giftings of an amazing singer, an amazing songwriter. What a gift for melody. But above all of that is the humanity of who she was, her care for other people, her humility, her graciousness to people, her sense of humor. In spite of the magnitude of the charisma that she possessed, she's one of those people that when she walked into the room, the atmosphere changes, and it just automatically did and does. And she was able to recognize that and to cut the tension in the air with warmth and humility and humor, and so that people always felt that she sees me. And she was a beautiful person.
Well, you seem like a pretty beautiful person yourself, Bruce Sudano. I want to remind people that you do have tour dates coming up in the Northeast, in New Hampshire and Massachusetts in December.
Yeah.
More importantly, all the Bruce Sudano information is at brucesudano.com, SUDANO, sorry. Bruce Sudano.
Yeah.
You can get his new album, or his recent album, Talking Ugly Truth, Telling Pretty Lies, his older album, Ode to a Nightingale, and this is the last thing I really have to, you have on there for $25, you can buy a Bruce Sudano bobblehead. What?
Yeah.
What? How? What? What?
Hey, you have to speak to my manager.
I love it. I love it. Anyway. Thank you so much. Please come back to the neighborhood, because you obviously have so much more to tell, so much more stories. But it's been lovely talking to Bruce Sudano. Wishing you more music, more good times.
Okay, and let's go get a bagel together sometime.
You'll get with two schmears.
Two schmears. Ciao.
Shalom.